Hello guys, it's me Zain. Today I have quite a special thing to show you. It's gonna be amazing. I'm quite of an experimenter, if you will, when it comes to orchid growing, and I've experimented for quite a years now. So yeah, today I thought I will show you yet another thing which popped in my mind. I'm gonna do an outro here, so if you're new to my channel, consider the option of subscribing to it, also hitting the bell button so you get notifications, and following me on Instagram. Let's talk about this shit. Okay, first I have to tell you, I absolutely love orchids which grow in the way they're supposed to grow in nature. Orchids grow on trees, on branches, so therefore they are not always, in most cases, they are not growing upright, they are hanging down from these branches and the bark of the trees. They are just hanging down, creating beautiful waterfalls of greenery. This bitch loves that. So I want to recreate that in my home, which is quite a questionable adventure here. We like to force our orchids to grow as any other plant, therefore upright in pots. I have the majority of my collection in pots too, but since I like to showcase their natural traits, I like to showcase how they want to grow and I don't want to force them to grow that way, I always come up with ideas to do that. For example, those hanging sphere planter whatevers, the majority of my hanging plants are planted that way so I can showcase them hanging. So I can grow them as they want to grow. They are pendant and they are just beautiful. And then here comes the thing, I love orchid mounds because mounds, you know, basically mounds are a piece of wood, orchid on it, water daily, that's that. And I love the idea, but there is not enough humidity and there's not enough watering in my home to make that possible because I'm a lazy ass bitch and I won't water daily anything else, only my vandas, because I just love vandas so much that I will do basically anything for them. But all the other mounds, bitch no. Don't even dream about daily watering in my house. And I always wanted to have mounds, but I always didn't want to have mounds. So the holy grail idea in my mind was a self-watering mound. Insert heavenly voices here. And finally I did that. So the story goes, I was at a fair, show, marketplace, whatever, and it was all about terrariums, aquariums, paludariums, vivariums and all the other ariums out there. And I just went there because I wanted to check out stuff. There were super cute animals and super high-tech quality thingies for aquariums and stuff. And then, really randomly, I bumped into a product which I really wanted to buy for a time now. And this is the Hygrolon. And the Hygrolon comes from the same place where Cintiq comes from, and I already tried Cintiq on my channel and it is very good for certain stuff, but it's not very good if it dries out constantly and it will get a little bit water repellent as sphagnum moss itself gets that. Now here is another material, the Hygrolon, which doesn't get that. It's super wicking. It can hold crazy amounts of moisture, and the most important thing here, it can wick up water to 40 centimeters, and that just blows my mind. So I decided to do a self-watering mound with Hygrolon, and I had this idea in my mind, so I did this. I know, don't judge for the first sight, it's pretty devastated right now. This orchid needs to gain the energy back and stuff like that, but basically I have a pot filled with water and I have a rod covered with the Hygrolon, and this is my mound. So here is this, let's say, fake branch, and here is my water reservoir, and this water reservoir will last me for ages. I mean, I'm pretty sure I won't have to water this thingy for a year. So when I got my Hygrolon, I started to think how could I use it, and this was my first thing. This was my first idea which popped into my mind, and praise Jesus, I love this idea. So at first I gathered the materials, well, obviously the pot, the rod, the Hygrolon, and also I needed some other materials for all the other stuff which I needed to do. So first I cut this pipe thingy which was just basically laying around at home, so I was lucky for having that, but I think you can buy it at any garden center slash home improvement store, whatever. So I measured like 30 or 40 centimeters of that pipe, and after that first I needed to do this Hygrolon whatever, which will cover the rod later. So by rolling the rod on the Hygrolon, I measured out how much I need, and I left some space, some leftover space for the sewing there on the Hygrolon, and after that I sewed it and I turned it inside out so it will look more beautiful and not an ugly piece of shit. And basically that was everything about the Hygrolon part. So I used for this hot glue gun or whatever, I wanted this rod to adhere really well to this plastic container. So first with the sandpaper I smoothed the surface, the bottom surface of this container, and after that I measured out where I want to place this rod. Well, honestly I didn't really measure that, it was just eyeballing the whole thing. So I marked that with a pencil, and after that I just glued them together. I glued the rod inside the container, and then I basically poured a ton of hot glue inside the rod so it will adhere there inside as well, because I really wanted this to hold there. And after that dressed up the rod with the Hygrolon, and the leftover top parts I just folded them back inside the rod, and so it doesn't look like a piece of shit. And that's that. And after that it looked like this, but without the orchid. So I wanted to test out how much it's wicking the water and stuff, so I poured water in it, and I'm not even kidding, after 10 minutes all the rod was wet. And then I chose my Bulbophyllum longissimum, which was in a hanging basket, and I was just failing to water it because I was too lazy to water that much. So I had to remove quite a few roots and quite a few stuff. So right now it is a little bit dehydrated, as you can see, but these newer leaves are starting to gain the energy back. For example, this leaf is super good. After this whole thing was done, I just mounted the orchid on this rod, and right now I'm waiting for it to rehydrate and live happily ever after. I might say it's a little bit big for this rod, but it will be beautiful with time. I pour water inside this container, and this Hygrolon material wicks it up, and the whole orchid is like hydrated. And if I touch these top parts, they are super wet. I mean, I cannot show you on my fingers. It's pretty wet, it's pretty good, and I'm really excited by this project. So this is my first thing which I did, but I wanted to do more because I have more material, and I bought more of these things to make this happen because I want to experiment with it more. So this is my first idea. My other idea was getting a pipe which has a bottom, so the water reservoir won't be like this outside. I planned the water reservoir to be inside. I tried it out. I covered the whole surface from outside with Hygrolon. I placed 2 wicks into the tube so it will wick the moisture from the inside to the outside. Well, that experiment was a bitch. It was a huge fail, as this material wicked the moisture from the inside to the outside, and the water traveled to the bottom of the Hygrolon. It dripped out. But this method actually prevents that because the water reservoir is like below this whole mounting situation, so it won't drip out since it's gonna catch everything. I'm pretty sure I will have more ideas, but this was my first idea and I really wanted to make it. I really wanted to try out. This is rather a space-saving solution because this remains as big as an orchid can remain, but that other solution which I had in my mind and also I seen on the internet, you need a big tray, put a rock on it, and inside the rock there is the wick, and on the top of the rock there will be the Hygrolon, which is wet, so the orchid can actually grow on the top of a rock. But you need more space for that to happen. I placed this material directly on the sunshine because I was curious if the evaporation because of the sunshine will be more than the wicking or not, so it will stay hydrated or not. But I can safely say that even if you will burn this material with heavenly fire, it won't dry out because it wicks like shit. Also, I wanted to make sure that this won't fall over or tip over. Obviously, this whole pot is really heavy because there is water to this level and that is heavy. Also, this rod it's holding there, because as I move it, the whole pot is actually moving. I cannot move it because it's really adhering there on the bottom, so that's okay as well. And I cannot think of any other things which might be going wrong here. Okay, I have one thing which I'm thinking about. Some of these bulbs have to touch this material, as this is my best way to mount it, and I fear that they might rot there, but we'll see about that. Also, right now I'm expecting some root loss, because these older roots aren't used to this high amounts of moisture, so I'm expecting some root loss here. And also soon I'm going to an orchid show, and I will be looking for an orchid which I can mount the same way as this is mounted, because I want to try this out with other orchids and I want to update you on that. It's looking like shit right now, but just imagine all these leaves fully hydrated and some blooms just hanging out from this rod. It will be fabulous. I can go without watering for basically a year. So this water reservoir will last me for ages, and basically I cannot over water it because I just pour water here and that's that. All the wicking is up to this Hygrolon. By the way, this is not sponsored because I bought it for myself on that show. I should have contacted them to sponsor me, or at least team up with me. We'll see about that. So, conclusion. So far, so good. So yeah, this is my video for today and I hope you liked it. If you liked it, click on the like button. If you disliked it, try to think about better ideas than this. I bet you cannot. Subscribe to this channel, subscribe to my other channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button so you'll get notifications every time I post. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and yeah, see you next time. Bye guys.